Think about the last time you downloaded a new budgeting app.
Oh, right. Yeah, those can be a reality check.
Exactly. You link your bank accounts, you look at the dashboard, and you realize something, well, some kind of horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
You spent so much money on, like, $3 coffees, random subscription boxes, impulse buys, that when it actually comes time to pay your mortgage, the account is completely empty.
Right. It's a classic trap. I mean, you didn't bankrupt yourself with one massive, terrible purchase.
No, not at all.
You bled your account dry with 1,000 tiny, insignificant choices, all because you didn't, secure the big expenses first.
Exactly. Now take that exact same financial panic, but apply it to your time.
Ooh, okay. That hurts a little.
Right. Because we wake up every day with a set currency of hours. And instead of paying our biggest, most important goals first, we just blow our daily budget on the equivalent of those $3 coffees.
Like scrolling social media.
Yes. Scrolling, answering trivial emails, getting sucked into random drama. And by the time we actually want to focus on our dreams, our time account is it's overdrawn.
Yeah, you're running on empty.
Exactly. So welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are getting into a really fascinating set of sources. We've got a curriculum PDF from a youth mentorship program, Martin County PL, specifically lesson 12, which is entirely focused on priorities.
Right. But what makes this really special, I think, isn't just the written curriculum. We also have an audio transcript of a live session.
Yes, the audio is incredible.
It really is. You hear a coach actively navigating this exact material with a room full of future leaders. So it takes it out of the realm of, abstract theory and actually shows us how these concepts survive contact with real human behavior.
Because teenagers will definitely test the theory.
Oh, absolutely.
So our mission today is to unpack how we actually figure out what matters in our lives, how we can survive the chaos of our daily to-do lists using the 80-20 principle, and honestly, how we can stop confusing the sheer exhaustion of being busy with actually making progress.
Which is such an important distinction.
It is. Imagine finding out that having time for everything you want to do doesn't actually require you to ruthlessly eliminate all the fun from your life.
Right.
It's really just a matter of changing the sequence.
Yeah, the underlying premise here is that most of us don't really have a capacity problem. We have a sequencing problem.
A sequencing problem. I like that.
And fixing that sequence, it really changes everything.
Yeah. So the lesson opens with this heavy-headed quote from John C. Maxwell. He says, "Decide what your priorities are. If you don't, someone else will."
Which is very true.
Very true. And to illustrate this, the coach introduces a visual metaphor, the jar of life.
Ah, yes, the jar.
We've got the jar, which is your available time. You have the big rocks, which are your crucial goals, your health, your long-term dreams.
Yeah.
You have the pebbles. Those are necessary daily obligations. And then you have the sand.
Right, the sand. The small, trivial stuff, the digital noise, random distractions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to be completely honest here.
Oh.
The first time I read Rocks in a Jar in this curriculum, my eyes almost rolled out of my head.
Oh, I get it. I totally get it.
I mean, it is the dustiest, most cliche trope from, every cheesy corporate motivational seminar of the last 30 years.
It is definitely a well-worn analogy.
Very well worn. So how did the coach actually make this dusty metaphor resonate with a room full of teenagers?
Well, there's a reason the coach relies on it, and the audio transcript reveals exactly why it worked in that room.
Okay.
The coach didn't just stand there and tell the story like some bad PowerPoint presentation.
Right.
They brought the physical items into the room, 2 identical sets of jars, rocks, pebbles, and sand, and they did a live demonstration that isolated the psychological flaw in how we, normally operate.
Because they didn't start with the rocks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They had one of the students come up and pour all the sand into the jar first.
Oh, wow.
Then the pebbles, and only then did they hand the student the big priority rocks and say, okay, now fit these in.
And, of course, the rocks physically clash with the sand.
They bounce right off. They stick out the top of the jar. It's this tangible representation of how the vast majority of us adults and teenagers actually live our lives.
Yeah.
We operate on the path of least resistance. We wake up, and what's the first thing we do?
We reach for the phone.
We reach for the phone. We start filling our mental jar with sand before we even get out of bed. We check notifications. We respond to low-stakes messages. We just let the minor demands of the day dictate the entire morning.
Which means by the time 5 p.m. rolls around and you finally have a moment to work on, say, that novel you want to write, or you want to go to the gym or study for a critical exam.
Your jar is completely full of sand.
It's totally full. You feel exhausted. You say, I have absolutely no time, and the rock just gets left on the table.
Precisely. But then the coach runs the second demonstration. A different youth comes up to the front, and this time they place the big rocks in first. Then they pour in the pebbles, which fill the gaps between the rocks. And finally, they pour the sand over the top, and the sand behaves completely differently now. It seamlessly flows into all the remaining empty spaces. Everything fits perfectly inside the exact same container.
See, I think my absolute favorite part of this entire sequence isn't even the physical jar.
What is it?
It's the reframe the coach offers immediately afterward. It completely upends how we usually talk about discipline.
Oh, yeah. This part was great.
The coach looks at these kids and says, I'm not telling you not to scroll on your phone. I'm not telling you not to hang out with your friends.
Yeah.
Like, wasting time isn't banned. It just has to hug the priorities.
That is a massive psychological shift.
It really is.
Because usually when we talk about priorities, whether a mentor is talking to a teenager or we're just talking to ourselves as adults, we frame it as this miserable trade-off.
Right, like no fun allowed.
Exactly. We tell ourselves, if I want to be successful, I have to suffer. I can't watch TV. I can't play video games. I have to just grind 24/7.
Yeah, hustle culture.
And because that sounds miserable, we rebel against our own goals. But the coach shatters that myth. You don't have to negotiate your priorities against your desire to relax.
It's honestly like playing Tetris.
Ooh, I like that.
If you let all the fast, easy jump pieces just pile up at the bottom of the screen, you create a chaotic mess. And when that long, important piece finally drops, the one you desperately need to clear 4 lines at once, it can't fit. But if you strategically place the big pieces first, the small random pieces naturally find a place to slot in.
That's a perfect way to visualize it. But, the coach's point about the sand naturally fitting around our priorities relies on one very important caveat.
Which is?
You can't have an infinite amount of sand.
Right.
And that becomes glaringly obvious in the transcript. The coach playfully asks the room to pull out their phones and check their daily screen time averages.
Oh my gosh, this party audio was wild.
It was intense.
It starts with some nervous murmurs. You hear a few kids admit to 4 or 5 hours, which, let's be honest, is already a lot. But then the numbers start climbing. One student has 10 hours, another has 15. And one of the future leaders in that room literally had 17 hours of screen time in a single day.
It's just, it's a staggering metric to hear out loud.
17 hours.
But it grounds the metaphor in harsh reality. Think about it. If you are awake for 16 or 17 hours a day and your screen time is 17 hours...
Your life isn't just full of sand.
No, your life is the sand.
No, yeah.
There is zero empty space to maneuver. You have backed a dump truck of distraction into your life before a single priority rock could even be considered.
Which naturally forces the next question, right? If we have to put the big rocks in first to survive this dump truck of sand, how do we actually identify what our rocks are?
That's the hard part.
It is.
Right.
A lot of people, myself definitely included, struggle to distinguish between what feels urgent and what's actually important.
Yeah.
So the curriculum PDF approaches this with 3 filtering questions. Number 1, what do I have to do? So the non-negotiables. Number 2, what do I do well? Like finding your natural strengths. And number 3, what do I dream or love to do? Your intrinsic passions.
It's a really effective diagnostic tool because it triangulates your priorities.
Oh, so?
Well, if you only do what you have to do, you'll burn out.
Right.
But if you only do what you dream of doing without meeting your obligations, your life falls apart.
Fair point.
So a true big rock usually sits right there at the intersection of obligation, capability, and desire.
But, okay, the moment these students try to apply this framework, the audio transcript takes a turn that I did not see coming.
Yeah, this was fascinating.
They're brainstorming their big rocks, and one of the students confidently says school is their top priority. Which, seems like the perfect answer.
That's the answer you'd expect.
Right. They are in a youth mentorship program. But the coach actively pushes back. He tells a room full of future leaders that school should not be their main priority.
Which creates a real moment of friction in the room. It sounds almost irresponsible on the surface. Why would a mentor tell students to demote their education?
I thought the exact same thing at first. It's like a personal trainer telling a client that lifting weights isn't the priority. But the more I thought about it, the more it made sense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because school is an environment. It's not an internal trait. It's like that client telling the trainer that the gym building is their priority instead of physical fitness.
I see where you're going.
If the gym closes or you move away, your priority vanishes and you stop working out. If your only rock is school, you are going to face a massive existential crisis the day after graduation.
Because your priority suddenly evaporates.
Exactly. Your jar is empty and you have no idea who you are.
That is exactly the underlying logic the coach uses. The coach points out that you can look around and see people who went to the exact same school, sat in the exact same classrooms, had the exact same teachers, and graduated on the exact same day.
But ended up totally different.
Exactly.
Okay.
Ended up with drastically different capabilities. Simply attending the building doesn't guarantee the outcome.
Right.
So the coach pivots the room toward a different big rock. They suggest the priority shouldn't be the institution. The priority should be growth and teachability.
And that changes the entire mechanism of how you approach your day.
It really does.
Because if your rock is just school, then doing homework is a miserable extrinsic obligation. You're just doing it to avoid getting in trouble. But if your big rock is, I am a highly teachable person who values personal growth, then tackling a difficult math assignment becomes an exercise in fulfilling your own identity.
You're doing it for you.
Exactly.
Right. And unlike the school building, teachability is a rock you can carry with you for the rest of your life. You take it into your career, you take it into your relationships. It completely transforms your baseline motivation.
Okay, I love that as a grand philosophical concept. Knowing your priority is growth is fantastic. But here, knowing your overarching life goal doesn't magically make your Tuesday morning to-do list any less terrifying.
No, it definitely does not.
How does this philosophy survive contact with a daily planner? This is where the curriculum brings in the 80-20 principle, the Pareto principle.
Yeah, the curriculum uses a very stark diagram for this. Imagine you have a list of 10 things you need to accomplish today.
Okay, 10 things. Got it.
The Pareto principle suggests that focusing entirely on the top 2 priorities, your 2 biggest rocks, will actually generate 80% of your overall return or value for the day.
80% from just 2 tasks.
Yes. Meanwhile, those bottom 8 tasks, the pebbles and the sand, they will only ever yield a 20% return, no matter how much time you spend on them.
Okay, I understand the mathematical logic there, but I'm going to challenge the reality of trying to live that way.
Go for it.
When I open my laptop and I see 10 things on my list, my brain absolutely screams at me to tackle the easy ones first.
Of course, it's human nature.
I want to clear out 3 or 4 quick emails or do some minor admin tasks. I crave that dopamine hit of crossing something off. It builds momentum, right? It makes me feel productive. Why is it so bad to get the ball rolling with the easy stuff?
Well, because it feels incredibly rewarding in the moment. That dopamine hit is very real. But the coach addresses this exact psychological trap. They call it cherry picking your to-do list.
Cherry picking.
Yeah. When you sit down and subconsciously ask yourself, what do I feel like doing first? Your brain will automatically select the path of least resistance.
Oh, absolutely.
You will always gravitate toward the tasks that take 2 minutes or require 0 cognitive load.
Because tackling the big rock is inherently uncomfortable. It requires deep focus, and our brains want to avoid that energy expenditure.
Exactly. But here is the danger. Doing the easy things first is the exact same behavior as the student pouring the sand into the jar first.
Ooh. Oh, wow. I didn't think of it like that.
You are filling your cognitive capacity and your energy with low-yield activities. The curriculum has a brilliant line for this. Activity does not equal accomplishment.
Man, activity does not equal accomplishment. That cuts deep.
It really exposes the illusion of productivity, doesn't it?
It exposes the false sense of progress we wrap ourselves in. I mean, I can spend 8 straight hours aggressively clearing my inbox, organizing my desk, knocking out minor errands. I end the day completely exhausted, feeling like I worked so hard. But if I didn't touch the project that actually moves my career forward, I haven't accomplished anything meaningful. I've just been highly active.
Right. You've successfully managed your sand, but your rocks are still sitting outside the jar.
Yeah. So how do we fix that?
Well, to combat this, the coach shares a very specific daily habit with the room. Instead of trying to aggressively manage all 10 items on a list, they look at the list and ask one question. What is the one thing that absolutely must be done today no matter what happens?
They isolate the single biggest rock.
They isolate it, yes.
And by doing that, you actually remove a massive amount of anxiety. You don't have to carry the mental weight of perfectly executing 10 different tasks. You give yourself permission to let the bottom 8 things slide, as long as you conquer that one critical priority.
Exactly. If you secure that rock, you've captured 80% of the day's value before lunch.
That is huge. It simplifies the chaos of execution, but it also introduces a new kind of friction.
Oh, how so?
Because managing priorities isn't just a solo activity that happens on a piece of paper in an empty room.
Yeah.
You have to execute these priorities in a world full of other people.
Ah, yes, other people.
And other people are notoriously bad at respecting your jar.
Very true.
Which brings us to a really difficult section of the curriculum. We've talked about the big rocks, and we've talked about the sand. But what about the pebbles?
Right, the obligations and relationships that aren't trivial but aren't your life's purpose either.
Exactly. The PDF has this really stern warning. It says, don't spend too much time climbing the ladder only to realize the ladder was leaning against the wrong building.
Wow. It's addressing the sunk cost fallacy.
Yes.
We humans are incredibly prone to staying in situations simply because we've already invested time in them. Whether it's a major in college you hate, a project that's failing, or a relationship that drains you, we feel this deep, deep obligation to finish what we started.
We do.
The lesson is giving the reader explicit permission to stop climbing, climb down, and move the ladder.
And the coach takes this concept and applies it directly to the social lives of these students, delivering some incredibly harsh reality.
Oh, yeah. The coach does not hold back here.
Not at all. The coach tells these future leaders that they have permission to cut people out of their lives if the impact is neutral or negative. I mean, telling a room full of teenagers who are biologically wired to crave social acceptance above almost everything else that they should ditch their friends, that is a bold, high-friction move.
It is bold, but it's completely necessary to protect the rocks. The coach asks them to evaluate their friendships, not through the lens of history, but through the lens of impact.
Right.
Because sometimes what you thought was a beautiful, life-affirming rock of a friendship is actually a project.
A project.
Yeah, it's a pebble that requires constant management and emotional energy without offering any positive return. If a person's presence in your life is consistently neutral or negative, they are taking up critical space in your jar.
Which leads directly into the conflict of act versus react.
Mm-hmm.
The transcript poses this incredibly relatable scenario. Let's say you've done everything right. You identified your big rock. Let's say you need to study for a massive exam. You scheduled your time. You are sitting at your desk, ready to act on your priority. And right at that exact moment, your phone rings.
Oh, of course. It always happens like that.
Always. It's your friend, and they are engulfed in some massive emotional drama.
Now you are forced into an immediate choice.
Right.
Do you stick to your plan and act on your priority?
Yep.
Or do you abandon your big rock to react to their emergency?
And the guilt associated with this is immense. Because we want to be good people. We want to be supportive friends. If you ignore the call, you feel selfish.
Naturally.
If you answer the call, you lose your evening, you fail your exam, and then you build resentment towards your friend. How do you solve that? Do you just become a cold, calculating robot who ignores people when they're hurting?
Not at all. And the curriculum offers a brilliant psychological tool for navigating this exact guilt. It's a phrase, no for now doesn't mean no later.
No for now doesn't mean no later.
That is so powerful. Because the natural tendency of everyone around you is to place their priorities above yours.
Right.
They aren't usually doing it maliciously. They're just entirely focused on their own jar. Their emergency feels like the biggest rock in the world to them in that moment.
Exactly. So if your roommate comes in wanting to vent about a terrible breakup the night before your chemistry test, you use the tool. You set a boundary.
You tell them, I want to be there for you, but my no to you right now will allow me to be present and helpful for you later. Let's sit down and talk about this tomorrow afternoon, the second my test is over.
Think about the mechanics of what is happening there. By delaying the friend's trauma until after the big rock of your exam is secured, you are protecting your own priority.
Yes.
But you are also fundamentally improving the quality of the friendship. Because if you drop everything to listen to them right then, you are going to be anxious, distracted, and internally panicking about chemistry the entire time. You won't actually be listening. You'll be a terrible friend in that moment.
Absolutely. But by waiting until tomorrow, the chemistry test is gone. Your jar has space. You can offer them your undivided attention. By prioritizing yourself first, you are actively putting yourself in a position to be a better resource for the people you care about.
It's the classic, put your own oxygen mask on before assisting others rule, but applied to your daily schedule. You still put the pebble in the jar.
Yeah.
You still help them through the breakup. You just ensure the rock went in first.
And that really brings us full circle to the core philosophy of this entire deep dive. Mastering your priorities doesn't mean you have to achieve some monastic, punishing level of discipline.
Thank goodness.
Right. It doesn't require you to banish every single pebble and grain of sand from your life.
You can still scroll online. You can still play video games. You can still spend a lazy Saturday doing absolutely nothing. It is entirely about sequencing.
Just the sequence.
If you identify your actual big rocks, like prioritizing your own teachability and internal growth over just checking boxes, and you place those into your jar first, the math works in your favor.
It does.
If you secure that 80% return by tackling the one most important thing early, before you cherry pick your inbox, the sand and the pebbles will naturally find a way to flow into the remaining spaces.
The real challenge isn't forcing things to fit. The real challenge is having the honesty to look at your jar and admit what is a rock and what is just sand disguised as a rock.
Which leaves us with a final thought to mull over as we close out today. We spend so much of our cultural energy demonizing digital distractions. We point at our phones, our social media algorithms, the 17 hours of screen time, and we declare that technology is ruining our focus.
Right, it's the easy scapegoat.
But what if the biggest source of sand clogging up your life right now isn't a digital distraction at all?
Oh, what if the thing blocking your progress looks like a very serious obligation?
Exactly. What if the sand is actually an outdated goal you're still chasing just because you started it 5 years ago? Or what if the biggest obstruction in your jar is a pebble relationship with a neutral or negative impact that you're simply too afraid to reevaluate?
That's a tough question to answer.
It is. Think about that budgeting app we talked about at the start. Before you blame the economy for your empty bank account, take a hard look at the subscription boxes you're still paying for but haven't opened in months. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Go out there, look at your list, and make sure you put your biggest rock in the jar today.